Hello everyone, and welcome to another devlog. I know it's not been super long since I released a video, since I released the last one fairly late, but I thought it would still be worth it for me to just give you a quick update on the things I accomplished this sprint. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I haven't really been feeling like editing a video tonight, so this is probably just gonna be me talking, and I may mess up a few times, I may do a little edits, but either way, let's just jump into what I worked on this sprint. So what I was focusing on for this time was storages, or chests. So I already had inventory for the player, and I wanted to be able to explore the idea of items in the game. As I had mentioned before, I had items in the player's inventory, as you can see here when I play this, but I didn't have anything you could do with them. I didn't have it so that you could move them around or anything other than within the space. So I decided this sprint I could add chests, as you can see right here in the play area. And as I was about to hit play on this video, I realized that I have this game mechanics document that I probably should add chests to. I have inventory system right here that I justified, and if you haven't seen this document, it was like maybe my first or second video where I talk about this. This is basically my justification for any game mechanics that exist in the game. But I have this inventory system justification for having that game mechanic, but there wasn't really anything that talked about storage other than the player's storage, so I went ahead and added this paragraph down here just explaining it. A little late, I should have added this before I implemented the mechanic, but I think this is fine. So basically, as this says, as this game aims to center on adventure and discovery, non-player storage units, so like chests and maybe bookshelves or tables that you can look at, these storage units hide items and information from immediate view, forcing the player to explore, thus immersing them in the space. This is something I've been thinking about for the past couple days a lot, how to actually immerse a player by forcing them to pay attention to their surroundings. I was thinking about this in the context of giving players just a bunch of jump, like allowing them to do a double jump or jump really high or be able to climb anything. It basically nullifies the significance of their surrounding, and they're not really thinking about the geometry around them. Otherwise, a game where the player can't jump or has a hard time climbing things, where the player is now having to pay attention to their surroundings and they feel far more immersed. This has nothing to do with player movement, but it still is a thing that forces the player to actually be aware of their surroundings. They don't just walk into a building, immediately see the gold coin sitting on the table, grab the gold coin and walk out, not caring about the surrounding. They instead walk into the building and they have to look. They have to look in chests, they have to look in under tables, maybe, I don't know, or in different rooms. Thus, they're getting a more immersive feeling because they care about the rest of the room. It's not just a fluff piece of pixel art, it actually affects them. Then I also throw in this last sentence that it also allows items to not clutter the player area, this being very important for a low-resolution pixel art style. Because this is low resolution, this is pixel art, if I'm just putting all items out there in the open, like if they open a chest and they can see all the items in there in the play area, instead of having a chest being a separate thing, then it becomes cluttered. They can't really see what these items are because they're just a few pixels big. If they can open up chests like they do their inventory, then I can make these items much bigger, much higher resolution. They can scroll over them, see the names of the items. It just makes it easier for the player. So I added that, and if I come back over to Trello, you'll see that I have 4 tickets that basically go into adding chests into the game, or other storage. I call it chest here, but basically non-player storage. So add non-player storage, make these chests savable, which actually was really, really easy, and then make it so that I can open chests and the backpack simultaneously, so the player inventory and the chest inventory at the same time, so that you can move items between the spaces, and then this final one allowing that to actually happen, move the item between the player's inventory and the non-player storage inventory. So if we come over into Unity, this really wasn't too hard for the most part. Before I hop into it, I will point out that I've added this little UI element that shows the interact button above things that you can interact with. And this was just a separate script called the interact script that if I go ahead and open up here, it basically allows a bunch of other scripts to recognize what's going on. I can attach this to anything that the player can interact with, and it will automatically provide that icon above their head telling the player that they can interact with it, and it provides me with this script or this function or method right here called started interaction. So other scripts or other blocks of code within my game can be looking for this started interaction and see if the player is now interacting with the item. So I can have the script that's on this person right here checking to see if that interact script has noticed an interaction with the player, and then I can kick off this conversation here. This is just a way for me to be able to streamline all the things the player can interact with in this sort of style, this pressing E sort of style, without having to rewrite it every time for like different storage devices, for different characters, for maybe unlocking doors. I don't have to do that. I can just put the interact script on and it will handle all of that for me. And it provides a good little UI and everything that I can change as I want to. So as you see, I can go ahead and notice that E, and when I start talking to her, it disappears until I stop talking to her, until the interaction is complete. But this is the real item we're interested in, this chest. So if I go ahead and open this up, you'll notice an absolutely beautiful inventory comes up for it. That's like super high quality pixel art. That's definitely going to be in the final product. And as I can open up my inventory, it appears over here. Now, the spacing's all wrong, and to be honest, this looks pretty awful, but the basic idea is here. The mechanics are here, even if the art isn't. So I can have both of these open, and I can move items between them. This was actually the hardest part, and not that it's hard to move items between these two spaces. That was relatively easy to code. The hard part was I was having items behind the inventory. So it wasn't going to be appearing in front of this, it was appearing behind it. But basically I spent many hours trying to fix that in the ideal way that I wanted it. I finally implemented a workaround Friday just because I had to complete it and it wasn't going anywhere. But needless to say, it is working now. I can move items between these spaces and it is savable. So let's say I decide to move this fruit over here. I can hit the save button, and I can stop the game, start it up again, and you will notice that those apples have been moved to my inventory, and they're no longer in here. Oh, and things are stackable as well. And like I said, the savable feature was really easy. This was one of the benefits of me taking my time with previous mechanics or additions to the game to make sure that they were scalable and general enough to be reused for other mechanics. So the save features was one of the first things I added, and I'm so glad I did, because it's really easy to just add new things to it. The inventory system was scalable, so it really didn't take a lot of work for me to just modify it to work with non-player storage space, and immediately right out of the box, without having to change anything, it gave me the freedom of being able to hit the save button. Never saw any errors from that. It worked right away, and items can be saved in here, or I can decide to move items in here. And I don't think, yeah, I can't. Good, I actually hadn't tested that. You can't put bigger items into these slots. But if I make a storage area that has bigger slots, then that'll work. So that's kind of what I was able to get done these couple weeks, but I'm really happy with this, and I'm sort of at a position where there's not many more game mechanics I need to add. I think there's only two. I need to add some sort of an AI system to the non-player characters so that they can move around, and I want to have some sort of a quest system where you can, a non-player character can ask you to do something, you do it, and then it completes the quest. Either they give you something or they say thank you. There's some way for you to actually do tasks within this world. But those are really the only things. So with that being said, and I should say, those are the only things I want to do by the end of the year. There's going to be a lot more that I want to add in here. A whole lot. Like I said, I want to spend a few years on this. But by the end of the year, those are the real only last mechanics that I need to add into the game. There's a lot of polish that's left, and a whole lot of art that needs to be added. As you can see, basically all of the art is on the screen right now. And so I'm thinking the next sprint, before I sign off for the night, the next sprint is probably going to be art intensive. And I know I keep saying that. I know I keep saying I'm going to just keep working on art, and I keep freaking out and not doing it because it's the hardest part for me. But I really think this next sprint, I'm gonna hopefully just churn out a few pieces of art, even if they don't look super great. It's something I can add into the game, maybe a few new houses, and it will really allow me to test out the robustness of the system as I've created for this game, seeing if they really work for adding new houses really quickly, adding new characters, adding new storage systems or backpack systems. And we'll just see where that goes. I feel actually like I'm on pretty good pace to meet my goals by the end of the year. And so hopefully by the end of the year, I'll just clean up the last few things during December, and then I'll be able to start out the next year for my 1-year anniversary of working on this project, really just expanding the scope and clarifying the scope of what I want for this game. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this interesting, please leave it a like. It's always appreciated, and I will see you in the next one.